This is totally unexpected. I have my pregnant wife who's in the car with me, and here comes this random guy approaching the vehicle, forcing himself in, and just telling us to drive. Outside of a show? Are you
Yeah.
What is that?
I know.
What is that? I don't know what that is.
It's an APB.
We are in the year of 1989. What year?
1989.
Okay. And there's a gentleman named Charles Stewart. He is a general manager at Edward F. Caucus and Sons, an upscale fur clothing shop. So, what do you think they sell at a fur clothing shop?
Clothes.
That's upscale.
Fancy clothes.
Fancy clothes like
Fancy coats.
socks, probably,
Yeah.
right? Things that cost tons and tons of money. And this store is basically or pretty much on a fashionable street in Boston, Massachusetts called Newbury Street. Now, Charles, he's not a bachelor. He is married. He's married to a Carol Stewart. And Carol Stewart, she also has a pretty good job. She works as a tax attorney. So, I mean, they seem like a nice couple, right? They're doing pretty well. And they figure that, you know what? They're doing so well that they can start focusing on the next chapter. Children.
Baby.
Right. And Carol, she's actually pregnant with their first child, right? So it's looking like, hey, maybe things are gonna, well, not just looking up, and I know I've said that before. So don't try to take my words. I don't use the same words.
You say the same words.
I don't use the same words.
Almost every
No, I
time.
don't. That's not true. You do.
No,
I don't.
I don't.
I'm just trying to remain vigilant and use. Anyhow. Okay, so.
I will forgive you today.
So, it's October 23rd. The couple attends a childbirth class, which is pretty normal. They usually go to Brigham and Women's Hospital, and they drive through Roxbury to get to these classes, and they pretty much take a similar route home, basically. But they've been going to these classes kind of routinely, because obviously they are about to welcome their first child. So you want to be as prepared as you possibly can. But there's this one particular evening that I have to mention. So the police receive a call, just a random call. Well, I guess all their calls are random, but this random,
That's what you always say.
this particular random call is informing them that an adult African-American gunman with a raspy voice wearing a striped tracksuit forced his way into the Stewart's vehicle. And Charles and Carol are in this vehicle. This man just forced his way into this vehicle while they were at a stoplight. And Charles goes on. He says the man ordered them to drive to nearby Mission Hill, and it was at this time they were robbed. So this is sounding pretty serious, right? I mean, this is totally unexpected. I have my pregnant wife who's in the car with me, and here comes this random guy approaching the vehicle, forcing himself in, and just telling us to drive. We get to a place, and then he decides to rob us. And this man, let's take it a step further. He shoots Charles in the stomach. And are you ready for this? He shoots Carol in the head. The police ask Charles, how were you even able to get to a safe area to speak? Charles says, well, you see, I managed to push this guy out of the vehicle enough to drive the car somewhere else, to drive the car to another area, basically leaving that guy back. So I was able to push him out enough. I gained just enough strength to push him right out of the vehicle, and then I'm able to call you guys through the phone that's in the car. So, where are you at then, Charles? Well, to be honest, I feel ashamed and I'm panicking because my wife is shot next to me, but I don't know where I am. I'm not familiar with the area we're at. I've never been here before. I'm not familiar with it. So this police dispatcher is a pretty intelligent person. He decides that, you know what, okay, it's all right, Charles, stay calm. But he starts radioing some of the officers on duty And he says, all right, this is what I want you guys to do. I'm going to go ahead and keep this guy on the phone. I want you guys to just drive around and basically turn on your siren and then turn it off repeatedly. Keep doing that. Pause in between. But turn it on, turn it off. I'll listen in through the phone call and see which one's closer. And that's how we'll be able to identify where this guy is.
Yeah.
And that ultimately does work. They're able to locate Charles and ultimately get him out of the vehicle and the wife. Now, it so happens that a CBS reality television series called Rescue 911 rides with the Boston Emergency Medical Services this evening. And they get footage of the couple being taken out of the vehicle and wheeled into the ambulance. And basically, they're not the only ones that gain footage. Other news outlets get footage of Charles basically being injured and trying to talk to the authorities and everything. So obviously this is like
a big case.
Yes, it's a dramatic scene. Most importantly. So anyone that sees this is like, oh my goodness, this is crazy. They cannot believe it, actually. But thankfully, they get both Carol and Charles to the hospital. And of course, they start operating as fast as they can on both of them. Now, they work all the way through the night, and by morning, now we'll see what happens. Charles, he was shot in the stomach, as I told you. He lives. Carol, unfortunately, passed away.
Yeah, it's a shot in the head.
She passed away at 2:50 a.m. on October 24th. Right before her passing, however, they're able to save the baby by performing C-section.
Yeah.
Charles is devastated to hear the news. Obviously, I mean, he's injured, obviously, but that's not important right now. I'm living. I know I got shot in the stomach, but where's my wife? How is my wife? She was shot in the head. All I saw, I can't even believe the images. It just keeps replaying in my head. Blood was just flowing like an ocean down her body. So he's wondering what's going on. And unfortunately, he's told the news. Carol did not make it. But we did save the child. So Charles decides, okay, this is horrible. I want to decide to at least have the baby baptized. And he says, well, let me go ahead and name the child Christopher William. Of course, right after when someone passes away, you have to start planning for a funeral. So they arranged that funeral to be on October 28th at St. James Church in Carol's hometown, Medford, Massachusetts. During the funeral, Brian Parsons, a friend of Charles, finds a note from Charles to his wife. And the note reads, "Good night, sweet wife, my love. God has called you to his side." The note also asks the public to forgive the murderer. What? He's probably, so think of it as him trying to be a forgiving person.
I
Despite
know.
this,
Someone who has killed your wife, I wouldn't want to forgive
I know,
that person.
it's hard.
Yeah, this
hard.
is your partner. This is someone. Why would you?
No,
want
I know
to-
for personally, I know me, there's no way I'm, if something happened to you,
Yeah.
especially brought on by another person,
Something happened
there's
to me
no
and forgive
way.
That person, I'm rolling in my.
But you will forgive a lot sooner. Me, you know me, I'll hold that stuff.
You would hold
I'll hold that stuff until I'm done. Until I'm done with this whole life. I'll hold it. They can try and talk to me, try to do this.
You'd be like,
No, it's not
Which story
enough.
did you read? There's a story that you read, and you were like, that person said they would hurt people for their spouse. I can't remember.
What story?
Was it a movie that we watched?
You're remixing up a story in a movie. What are you talking
There was
about?
this spouse that said, I would hurt people because for you, I would hurt. No,
What?
I remembered.
What? What?
I know. It's that preacher that we were talking to. You remember?
Oh man. Anyhow. Anyhow, let me continue. Anyhow. But another unfortunate event happened shortly after the funeral.
Yeah.
Baby Christopher, 9 weeks premature, unfortunately suffers trauma and oxygen deprivation and dies.
At the
And this
hospital.
it's the baby's 9 weeks premature, right? And due to the shooting,
Yeah.
due to all that, the baby dies basically. Because you had to rush that pregnancy.
Yeah.
So the
I
baby
know.
wasn't even ready.
Yeah, I know.
So the baby dies 17 days later after the funeral of Carol. So this is horrible.
Yeah.
This is probably one of the worst things you can wish for as a husband.
Yeah.
Luckily, the deaths of Carol and baby Christopher are ruled as homicide. So now, hopefully this will light some fire under the officers. So Boston police detectives Robert Ahern and Robert Tindlin, they start the investigation. And to be honest, they immediately suspect Charles as the one behind all of this.
We are going to that thing that the spouse is the number one suspect.
And they think it's because he was a little too calm when he initially told them about the shooting event. They said something seemed a bit off when he was telling us this story. He kind of conveyed this information to us as if nothing was really that pressing. Whereas I feel like a normal reaction would be, oh my goodness, my wife has been shot. I don't know what's going on.
I need help right now.
You need to help me do something, like
Look for a street sign.
Something was off about Charles. I can't place my exact finger on it or more on it, but I just feel like something's off. But their superiors say no. Charles told us that it was an African American man. We need to pursue this person. That's who we need to pursue. You guys are coming up with these ideas out of thin air. Oh, he was calm. Oh, he was not calm. Are you serious? You really gonna go off of that? This man experienced trauma. Are you gonna really tell him he's wrong? If he gives you a description, you go after that description. So, during the manhunt, the city's police indiscriminately use controversial stops and frisk tactics on young black men. And during this time, in the late 80s, the racial tension's already pretty elevated in this area. So, this doesn't help that situation at all. But hey, they're trying to find a person, so they're randomly stopping young black men and basically seeing if they have anything on them, seeing if they match something, even though there's not even much to go off of right now other than a wardrobe and a voice, really? Like a raspy voice? Well, let's see what we find. It gets so intense to the point that the county district attorney, Newman Flanagan, calls for the reinstatement of the death penalty. Because he's like, he hears this, he's pissed. He's like, no, I would like to bring the death penalty back. Maybe this will scare some of these people away. And this is like something that was recently abolished in 1984. And he's like turning around and saying, no, let's bring it back. By late October, the Boston police arrest Alan Albee Swanson and his girlfriend on a breaking and entering charge unrelated to the murders. Swanson becomes a prime suspect in the Stuart case after officers find newspaper clippings about the murder in his home and a black running suit soaking in his bathroom. But they find that, no, this guy's a freaking drug addict. Like, this person, he can't even put his sentences together. This guy doesn't seem coherent enough to pull something like this off. It doesn't seem like he would do something like this. So they just say, no, this is not the right person. By mid-November, the police arrest William Willie Bennett in Burlington on a motor vehicle violation. Their suspicions of Bennett's, or I should say William's, involvement in the murders increased after finding a bullet in his mother's home that matched the caliber of the gun used in the murders. 2 days later, on November 13th, William Bennett is charged with the robbery of a video store several weeks earlier. So it seems that, hey, do you think they got the right person? It seems that they kind of do.
Yeah, the bullet matches.
The bullet matches. This guy is trying to rob stores. Do we have the right person?
I don't know. Let's see.
So Charles is released from the hospital December 5th. By December 28th, Charles is called to the police station to possibly identify the attacker. They say, hey, we got a number of people who we think kind of fit this match. Can you come down here and see if you kind of recognize the person, and maybe we can book this person. So he points at William Bennett. He says, yeah, this was the attacker. He's like, yeah, that's him. I remember that guy. He looks very familiar. By early winter, the identity of the person who had murdered Carol Stewart and her unborn child becomes an open secret. And what I mean by that is, an analysis by the Boston Globe, that's like a newspaper, finds that at least 33 people know or suspect the truth. So word has gotten around on the streets, obviously, about this kind of thing. And a lot of people don't take it that serious, maybe, because you know how we've gone through so many cases that people were claiming that, hey, this person was like this, or this person was like that. I saw them doing this.
Yeah.
Oh, I know it's this person. Really, it's like, no, do you have something against this other person?
Yeah, why you just, maybe you're just saying.
Yeah, maybe you're just saying that, you know,
get them in
we've
trouble.
seen this many times. But they identify that at least 33 people know or suspect it. Shortly after the new year, Charles's sibling, his brother, Matthew Stewart, decides to meet with Charles's attorney. And he wants to tell his attorney that he believes the carjacking was a hoax. This whole thing was a big lie. And he plans to tell the police that it was a lie as well. On the evening of January 3rd, 1990, Matthew tells the Boston police what he knows. He says that in mid-October, Charles had asked him for his help with an insurance fraud scam, where Matthew would steal Carol's jewelry from the Stewart's house, and Charles would file an insurance claim. But when that plan went awry, or when it just didn't pan out, Matthew says that Charles asked him to help with the new plan. They would meet up in Mission Hill on October 23rd, and Charles would throw a bag through the window of Matthew's car. Charles promised to pay Matthew $10,000 to get rid of the bag. Matthew continues. He says that he saw something slumped next to Charles in the passenger seat of Charles's car, but could not make out what it was. After Charles threw Matthew the bag, which was, looking back at it, Carol's Gucci purse, Matthew says he hid the purse temporarily in the Stewart family home, then eventually asked his best friend, John McMahon, to help him throw Carol's purse, a .38 revolver, her engagement ring, and wallet off the Dizzy Bridge in their hometown of Revere, Massachusetts. Matthew claims that he did not know Charles intended to kill his pregnant wife. Matthew also says that he did not know Carol had been murdered until he saw it reported on television the following day. Wow. Matthew just dropped a freaking bomb.
Yeah. How's the details?
So the same evening that Matthew met with the police, Charles meets with his lawyer. Because remember, Matthew met with his lawyer first.
Yeah.
So
of course,
I'm sure the attorney's
yeah.
like, oh man,
Yeah.
this is bad.
Yeah, let me tell Charles.
I gotta meet with Charles. The lawyer says, dude, I gotta drop you as a client. And he says, you need a criminal attorney. Like, your brother has told me a bunch of stuff, and it sounds legit. I don't want to get involved in this.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but I'm done. I can't be your attorney anymore. So the attorney is kind of suspecting this. He believes that his brother, not believes, but he knows that his brother is thinking some kind of way. And it seems that the cops are going to know shortly.
Yeah.
So Charles decides to pack his bags and leave his house. Says, I'm just going to go to a motel, right? Maybe I can sit in the motel, let things cool down, hear what's going on out there.
So run from the police in short.
Well, so now it's reached January 4th. Charles says, you know what? Let me go for a drive because I'm panicking a bit. Charles reaches the Tobin Bridge and jumps 135 feet to his death in the Mystic River. A suicide note is found in his car that reads, whatever this new accusation is, it has beaten me. Later that day, his body was recovered. You seem very displeased.
Very. why didn't the police act on this information immediately? So because this person can run away, like why didn't
You're
they
saying
try
why
to
didn't the
find
police?
try to find him before he jumped?
He left his home though.
So what? You can put an APB on someone.
A what?
APB, you don't know what that is?
A what? Is that why you're whispering? Oh, put a what?
Oh no, APB, APB.
What's an APB?
You don't know?
Do you know? Outside of a show? What is that?
I know.
What is that? I don't know what that is.
It's an APB.
You don't know what that is. Anyhow. Anyhow.
You should look that up. It's real. As in, they could not have told other cops.
I'm sure they did do an APB, and maybe they probably did an APC and then an APD as well.
Shame on you.
But
It's real.
Unfortunately, they just did not get a hold of Charles before this.
No, they could have gathered a lot of cops and tried to look for him everywhere and anywhere, because this person can literally run away.
This is in the 80s, though.
So what? A criminal
It's
is
not
a criminal.
No, but it's not. Technology has been one of the primary reasons why people are caught through surveillance cameras, like actual phone activity, like social media that gives you leads of where they could possibly be, so forth, so forth. If this is not there, it's easy to vanish.
This person can die and say, oh, whichever accusations that have been brought forward, blah blah blah, trying to seem innocent, oh, I killed myself because I've been accused. That is what it seemed, right?
Yeah. I mean, for sure, he did it.
Yeah.
I mean, why would you commit suicide if you didn't do it?
Yeah.
He did it. But let's continue. So after they recover Charles's body, District Attorney announces that William Bennett is no longer a suspect in the murder investigation. That same night, Boston Mayor Raymond Flynn stops by the Bennett's home in Mission Hill to apologize to his family on behalf of the city.
As they should.
A grand jury investigating the murder of Carol Stewart is reconvened. 3 witnesses testify that they saw someone resembling Matthew in the back seat of Charles's car on the night of the murders.
Who's Matthew? That guy.
Matthew is Charles's brother.
Did they saw him behind?
Some people are testifying that they saw him in the back seat.
That's creepy. Oh my goodness. Okay.
Why is it creepy?
I don't know. I just imagined it in my head. I'm like,
Where he's just like sitting back there? Where he's like this? I know you guys can't see me, but she can. Yeah, where he's like.
Anyway, at what?
Yes, some people have testified, right? They said, no, that guy was in the back seat. I remember seeing him.
Oh my goodness.
You know what's interesting is that it's possible that Matthew could have been telling the partial truth. Like maybe he had a guilty conscience and he's like,
No,
I can't say that I was the one, because he made himself sound completely innocent.
But they almost got away with it, so why say that?
But again, guilty conscience, that stuff goes a long way. And then he didn't know Charles had the plan to kill his wife. So that intensifies any kind of guilt for a normal. I should emphasize, while you're, I don't know, trying to grasp this, normal people would be like, yeah, I feel bad.
About normal. I know normal more than you do. I don't know why you keep telling me normal.
Anyhow, that's why. Because he's a normal person that feels empathy.
But if he's normal as you say, he should say literally, I was in the back seat.
He's not, because he doesn't, obviously people don't want to deal with the consequences.
It
so
just says that
you're
I
going to try to
didn't
make
know.
yourself seem as innocent as possible.
No, I didn't know. Like, yeah. So what
But see, them trying to pin everything on Charles now, it's coming off that way. The doctors, though, they're like, no. When we operated on them too, there's no way, Charles, that gunshot could be self-inflicted. There's just no way. Right? There's no possible way. And ballistic evidence suggested the same. Said there's no way you can shoot yourself and it be that way. There's just no way. So I don't agree with that.
Okay, which
There's a lot of parts here, right?
Yeah, like so did the gunshot the one the wife suffered, which angle was it, from the back or I'm trying to understand the entry point?
So that one, I don't know if they really looked deeper into that one.
They should have.
They were looking deeper into Charles and his self-inflicted gunshot or gun wound. Gunshot wound.
Because at first I thought that it was like him self-inflicting. Yeah, I just thought that he was like.
But they said, or they say, that no, that couldn't be possible. You can't do that, and it'd be that way. There's just no way.
So like they probably planned this, and then they were like, okay, shoot me in the stomach, and it won't be as bad.
How do you? But all right. So are you saying that Matthew was possibly in the car, and then he's like, boom?
No, they planned it together. And so that it looks
Yeah,
more
but when
normal.
is Charles getting shot? I'm asking you.
After the wife was shot, and they said, for this to look legit, we have to shoot you in the stomach. You won't die, I promise, to be here. So let me shoot you in the stomach to make it.
So
look
after
more
when they
legit.
shot Carol in the head.
Yeah.
So Matthew pulled the trigger, is what you think?
I think probably the husband killed the wife, but the brother shot the brother. Yeah, probably. I don't know.
Well, by September 1991, Matthew is indicted on 6 charges, including conspiracy, obstruction of justice, unlawful possession of a firearm, compounding a felony, and insurance fraud. They're like, throw everything on this guy. Matthew pleads guilty to obstruction and fraud charges in November 1992, and ultimately he's sentenced to 3 to 5 years in prison. Yes. And then in a separate case, his friend Jack McMahon is indicted on multiple charges. In November 1992, he pleads guilty to accessory after the fact of murder, unlawful possession of a firearm, conspiracy to impede and obstruct justice, and concealing stolen property. McMahon is sentenced to 1 to 3 years for assisting Matthew Stewart in disposing of the handgun that Charles Stewart used to kill his wife. Matthew is released on parole by 1997, but is soon afterwards arrested for cocaine trafficking in Revere. These charges are later dropped for lack of evidence, though. But by September 3rd, 2011, Matthew is found dead of an apparent drug overdose and heading home, a homeless shelter in Cambridge, Massachusetts. So heading home is a homeless shelter. And that's where he's found dead.
So now, hearing this whole story, I think he's called Matthew.
Yes.
Matthew is the problem.
What's the problem with Matthew?
I think Matthew is the mastermind.
You think Matthew
Orchestrated everything.
No way.
The husband was like, maybe
Charles definitely orchestrated everything.
Charles had a good career. This one looks like a troublemaker.
Okay. I didn't give you the full backstory of Charles.
You see, that's why I'm judging people.
A normal person would still say that Charles was the mastermind. But anyhow, Charles definitely is the mastermind because I would say within a few months or within several months, he barely got this general manager job to move. Basically, his salary increased recently. So he wasn't like this big baller living life. So a lot of people kind of think that he was just a greed hungry person. He just wanted money. He just wanted things. And yeah, I mean, people will say he's a psychopath for wanting to do this. I don't think Matthew was the mastermind behind all of this. I think, as Matthew said, Charles approached him to do these things. Otherwise, why, like you brought it up, why would you even mention it? Because it seemed like, for the most part, they were getting off hands clean. Why mention it? Well, because I'm guilty.
What I also don't get is, why are these people being given 3 years?
Because you don't have the
evidence.
You don't have the person in hand. The person with the most evidence pointing to them in hand. That person already took themselves out.
This case, I don't like it.
You don't like the story.
I don't like this case. The
I know
person
you
who
don't.
did it
I know you don't.
died.
I know.
Killed themselves. Like, why?
Yeah.
Should have gone through the system, should have been arrested.
They already knew they were done. And then they leave a suicide note to make it seem like, oh, you guys are pointing fingers at me. I'm so sad that you guys are pointing fingers at me. Let me go ahead and just off myself. Whatever. Charles did this to his poor wife, and unfortunately, I mean...
Why would you do that to your wife, though? You know, that is still what I don't understand. To get insurance?
Yes.
So life insurance.
This is like a modern day Bell.
I know.
Right?
The male version of that.
Yes. A freaking psychopath who is literally going after insurance money. So he's making 6 figures and it's not enough.
Yeah, that's not enough.
Let me go ahead and off my wife, mind you.
Imagine.
Just to collect insurance money.
And my unborn child.
The fact that he can even come up with a plan to say, still my wife's this item.
I know.
Still my wife's that item. And then I can collect insurance money off of it. I'll give you a cut. The fact that you can even come up with an idea like that says a lot about you.
Yeah. What was his childhood like? Did he get in trouble?
I would have to do more research on that. Not much is like known about Charles that much. Like he's not a, I guess prominent figure in this space of crime.
Now we have 3 Charleses in this channel of ours. When we get to 5, we should.
Yeah, but Charles Lindbergh.
Charles Ponzi.
Okay, I guess. Charles Ponzi was a scammer. But this Charles is a horrible psychopath.
Yeah, where Charles beat the rest.
Yes.
The last Charles.
Yes.
Charles is a bad name. Anywho.
Yes. So I know this one is not your favorite.
It's not, because I don't like the ending.
You don't like the ending, but I figured I'd give you a different ending this time.
Yeah.
An ending that you will not miss.
Yeah, I don't like the ending. I wish they were arrested. Like, they served 40, 50 years of a lifetime.
You're like so quiet now because you're in such...
Anywho, it is what it is. I don't like it.
Well, all right. That's the story I have for you all.
Yeah, so I guess until next time.
No, bye.
I wanted you to say bye. So until next time.
Thanks.
Bye.